In this video, I will take you through the MA215 course, show you how to find everything you need in Blackboard, as well as give you a short MyStatLab tutorial. I will assume that this is not your first course at Bellevue University, so I'm going to point out some of the places specific to MA215 that you'll want to make sure you're familiar with. First of all, your course should open to this page, which is the announcements page. Each week, your instructor will send you an announcement, possibly two, that gives you everything that is due that week or friendly reminders about things that need to be done. In addition, before the course begins, you should visit all 4 of these pages. So of course, we're already on the announcements page. You should click on the Welcome to Applied Stats page, which gives you everything you need to know about the course. The syllabus, of course, I'm sure you read front to back, beginning to end, and of course click on your instructor info so you know who your instructor is for the course. Once the course begins, you will spend most of your time here under course content. Before I get into those pages, I do want to point out your resources, which includes tutoring and more, as well as a course schedule. So tutoring and more, obviously, talks about how to talk to a tutor. There are 2 different options. There's a stats formula card for easy reference. There's some information about a calculator download, and then some additional videos if you choose to want to learn how to use your TI-84. However, you will be required to use StatCrunch for everything, so most people don't use that. In addition, I suggest you click on Course Schedule and download the PDF there. You can also just reference it whenever you'd like to. These dates are kept up to date each term, so these might not be the dates for your term, but for your term, those dates will be correct, the dates on the schedule. If you ever need assistance through Blackboard or Bruin support, here are some tabs for you to go to. If you ever experience difficulties with Blackboard, for instance, an assessment, you must create a ticket through Bruin support, so that is how you do that. So now let's take a look. Each unit is separated into separate folders. So for instance, this is a 12-week schedule, as you can see. This would vary slightly if you were taking this in the summer term in 10 weeks. If you're taking this in a 12-week schedule, week 1, everything you will do will be in the Course Introduction and Orientation folder located within Unit 1. So if I click on Unit 1, there's the Course Introduction and Orientation folder, and I can see a listing of everything that is there. If I click on that folder, it gives an introduction, it gives the course orientation, MyStatLab. This is set up. It's important to note that even though I will take you through MyStatLab information a little bit later in this video, I do want to point out to you that in order to access our MyStatLab course, you must use these instructions. You cannot access our course using a course ID. So if you email me and ask for a course ID, I'm going to refer you to this section right here. This tells you exactly how to pair your MyStatLab course so that you can access our course through Blackboard. This also gives you exactly how to get temporary access without payment for 14 days, as many of us rely on student loans and we're waiting for financial aid to come in. You can access the course immediately. In addition, if you are an online student, you must click here to get to the discussion board to introduce yourself. This is how your attendance is verified. If you are a residential student, your attendance is verified by attending class, so make sure you go to class. That's everything you'll need to do for week 1 for a 12-week course, or for a 10-week course, you will have to do that as well as Unit 1, Chapters 1 through 3. Most of these folders are set up the same way. You'll see an introduction of everything that you will talk about that week. And of course, most importantly, here are your instructional videos. So I have a listing of all of the videos I've created for you and the video playlist here. You can also, of course, access the videos in at YouTube directly, and I'm sure that you know how to do that. There's also sometimes a data set that must be accessed in StatCrunch, and I'll take you through that in a little bit. It tells you exactly what homework to complete that week in MyStatLab. There's a little bit of extra practice as well as the key. So if you're someone who likes to prepare for assessments, which I hope you do, this focuses on those application types of questions and gives you the key to those as well. And then again, if you are an online student, you must click on the forum for you to first create a thread and then be able to see all of the other responses. You can see that all of these units are set up the same way. When you get to the assessment, there is a unit assessment tab. Within that tab, there are some reminders. There is an equation editor video that if you have not watched, you must watch, but please take the time to read all of the instructions here. And then right now you cannot see the unit assessment because it's not available, but when it is available, it would be located right below your video. Each of these unit tabs are exactly the same. And then of course in the final assessments, again, you can't see any of the assessments because they're not available because they're not active right now, but they would all be located there. And of course, MyStatLab is how you will access your homework. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to take you through MyStatLab portion of this. In order to access MyStatLab, again, I'm going to reiterate that you must use this link in your course. You are not able to go directly through Pearson using a course ID. It will give you an error message, so please be sure that you've used the instructions in the Unit 1 folder for pairing your MyStatLab course. If I click on MyStatLab, once it is paired, you will see the exact same options that you see here. You may access MyStatLab through all assignments or through Course Home. You will not see anything to the right. That is for the instructor only. So you will see all assignments, Course Home, and announcements. You never have to click on announcements, and I would not suggest all assignments, and here's why. If I click on all assignments, you'll see something that looks like this. This will give you a listing of all of your assignments and let you access whichever assignments are active. As you can see, I'm in week 4 of a course as I'm recording this video, so I can't get to any of the homework assignments that I haven't completed. I can only get to homework 4. However, if I click on Course Home instead, this is the screen that you will see. This is the screen you want to see. You will be able to see what homework is due, but you also have access to all of the items over here. And I will take you through why those are important in a few moments, but just take my word for it that you want to be able to get to all of these. So we're going to talk about StatCrunch in a little bit, but again, I can click on homework, which would take me to that homework page. I can click on quizzes and tests, which is where I'll go when I have to take my MyStatLab portion of my final exam. You can create or use questions from the study plan, but I don't recommend it as it does not take out questions that I don't ask you to do, so it could just be a waste of your time and you don't get credit for it in the course. Again, that is how you will always access MyStatLab using the MyStatLab link in your course and then MyLab and Mastering Course Home. So to begin homework, again, I'm going to click on Course Home. It's going to take me to this page. I'm going to click on Homework. And on that homework page, I'm going to choose whichever homework I want to work on. So for instance, I'm going to choose Homework 5, and I'm going to choose Question 2. It's going to open up my homework to Question 2, and the first thing that will pop up is an instructor tip. Of course, it's not going to this time because I've already accessed that question. So here is an example of an instructor tip. What this is a reference to a video. 12.1 Random Phenomena is the video that I would watch if I've tried this question and I'm struggling with it. You can certainly go and watch that video first and then do this question, or you can just X out of it, try this question, see how well you do, and then of course you can reference the video later. If you forget what that instructor tip was, just go to Question Help, View Instructor Tip, and it will take you back to that tip. Again, as I'm working, and I'm just going to choose hopefully a wrong answer. And again, I want you to notice it's giving me some information here that might help me to do better the next time. But let's say I still don't get the answer correct. So the correct answer was D. I chose A. I can go to the next question, which is fine, but notice I haven't gotten this question correct. So if I click try again, it's then going to take me to a different version of this same question, which hopefully then will help me to be successful and get the question right. You can try a question as many times as you need in order to be successful on that question, so I certainly suggest that you use that. In order to access it, there are actually several ways to access it. The first is to go through the course home, which takes us to this page, and then notice I've just gone down to StatCrunch, and when I click on that, it takes me here. I then click on Visit the StatCrunch website, which takes me to this page, and on this page, I then click on Open StatCrunch, which takes me to StatCrunch. Now again, I will take you through how to use whatever you need to use on these buttons in your weekly videos. For now, I'm just giving you how to access StatCrunch. So that is the first way. The second thing you might need to do to access StatCrunch is to go through this process that I've just shown you to get to this untitled page. But then if I go to Unit 1, and let's say I'm watching the weekly videos, and in the weekly videos it says, here's the data that I used in the video. So it says click here after opening StatCrunch. So now that StatCrunch is open, if I click on this link, it's going to take me to StatCrunch, and it's going to show you all of the data that I used in the video. So that is method number 2 for StatCrunch. Method number 3 and 4 both are in the homework. So I can click on Question Help, and quite often, but not always, there is a StatCrunch option here. If they don't think you need StatCrunch, they're not going to give it to you there. The last option, which is the most popular, is if they have given me data, as they have here. Notice there is a little blue double box there, and if I click on it, one of the options is Open in StatCrunch. Now I want to point out to you that when you're using MyStatLab and StatCrunch, you need to be able to enable your pop-up blocker, or disable your pop-up blocker so that it can pop open with this data. So if you've tried to click on these things and they're not opening for you, it's very possible that your pop-ups are being blocked and therefore you're not able to access this data. But this is great because now I have all of the data from this page and I didn't have to copy it over myself. I often have students who want to go back to review homework assignments that have already been closed. If you go into the Homework tab, and we're currently on Homework 4, so Homework 3 has been closed. And again, I can see that because I can't click on it. You may no longer work to improve your score. But let's say I wanted to not only just see my score, which was really pathetic, but I also wanted to look at the questions that I got right and wrong. I can't do that here in the Homework tab. I have to go into Gradebook. And in Gradebook, I can see that on Homework 3, again, I earned the 10%, but I can also click on Review. And again, notice it says you will not be able to change your score, but I can click on any of these questions that I got right or see any of the questions that I didn't actually attempt. The last thing I want to take you through is the homework help options. We've already talked about View Instructor Tip, and we've talked about StatCrunch. There are obviously some other options. Help Me Solve This is a great way if you're really stuck on a question. Help Me Solve This will take you through step by step how to solve that question. When you're done going through that tutorial, it's going to give you a similar question for you to do on your own. Sometimes you will have animations, sometimes you will not. I've honestly never used the animations. I don't find them that helpful, but some people might. Here's how you can access your textbook. This will open your ebook to the section that you will need to read in order to do well on that particular question. And then of course there's calculator and print. So calculator is just a calculator, as you can imagine, and print is if you actually want to print out your assignment to work on it Most of my students choose not to do that, but if you're a real paper pencil kind of person, go ahead and print, and you can either print one question or print the entire assignment. This is probably the most important question help feature, and that is Ask My Instructor. If I click on Ask My Instructor, if you'll notice, it's going to send an email to your instructor. So I am Professor Brame. It's going to send that email to me. If I'm not your professor for the course, your professor's email address will be there. It's going to note the section and the question, and all you need to do here is say, please help me with this question, and then include, this is what I've tried. So when my students email me and say, I need help with this question, it's very helpful to me as the instructor to know, here's what I know about this question and here's what I'm really struggling with. Here's what I've tried, or here's what I'm stuck on. So make sure that you actually do write a question or comment and then send. And what that's going to do is it's going to send your comments as well as a link to your particular question, and it's also going to show me exactly how much you have done. So please make sure that you've done everything that you know how to do before you send me the question. So if you know, if say there's a 4-part question and you know how to do 3 parts, do those 3 parts. When you get to question 4, then come over to question help and go to Ask My Instructor, and it's going to give me the exact progress that you've made, and then you're going to write a little snippet that says, here's what I need help with. Hopefully this tutorial has been helpful for you for navigating the course in Blackboard, and of course navigating all of the features in MyStatLab and in StatCrunch. If you have additional questions, you may certainly email your instructor to ask him or her.